who is Jack Welch, and also why is he relevant?
Basically, Jack Welch is the CEO. He used to be the CEO of. He just passed away last year. He used to be the
Okay.
CEO for General Electric for 20 years, and he became CEO at the tender age of 31. When he left, 20 years later, it was about 200 billion in terms of business turnover.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Big Chief channel. Joining you today is myself, your host, Aaron Lee, as well as a familiar face. Now, those of you who have been joining the Big Chief channel for a while may know him as Azizan, and some of you who look up to him may call him your Sifu. And that is because this person has an infinite amount of wisdom that is sharing to our channel today. It is an honor to have him back here again with us. He is none other than Azizan. Would you mind joining us today?
How, Aaron?
How
How,
everyone,
everyone?
and how Azizan? Azizan, tonight we have an interesting topic, but before that, I'd like to say welcome back to the studio and everyone who is joining us right now, who just got back from Raya Big. I hope everyone has had nice, delicious rendang and lemang. But let's jump into the juicy part, which is our topic for today. I believe that you have prepared an interesting topic, which is about Jack Welch's rules of success, right?
Yes. It's based on my experience in working in General Electric.
I see. Okay, before we get down and dirty, let me just want to point out the elephant in the room for those of you guys who are just joining in. Yes, you're not looking at it wrongly. We do have a new setup today. Here at the Big Chief channel, we're constantly looking to evolve and grow, just like those of you who are looking to grow in business as well. So, getting down and dirty into the topic, Azizan, would you, for those people who are new to the channel, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself?
Okay, guys. Okay, again, it's me, Azizan. I have been I've been working since 1982. Yeah, and I started my work as in production, and eventually I moved to HR in 1993. So I have until today I'm still in HR. So I have about 39 years of experiences in different organization, different environment, and I've gone through at least three recessions and a number
Oh,
of challenges, including SARS, including bird flu, including pandemic. Wow, those are some of the things that we have gone through, guys.
that
And
is quite crazy, huh? And true
it's
enough, we already have a
crazy.
few people in the chat who is calling you Sifu. Thank
Right.
you to Anthony as well as Yang who has just tuned in. Okay,
Thank you.
Azizan. So talking about Jack Welch, who is Jack Welch, huh?
Uh,
And also why is he relevant?
Okay, basically, Jack Welch is the CEO. He used to be the CEO of. He just passed away last year. He used to be the
Okay,
CEO for General Electric for 20 years, and he became CEO at the tender age of 31. Now here
31.
31. We have here. If we have a CEO at a young age, we call him the baby CEO. But for 20 years, he has been the CEO for General Electric. He left in 2000, and he became the CEO in 1980. And at that time, General Electric turnover was about 500 million. When he left, 20 years later, it was about 200 billion in terms of business turnover. So it's not an easy it's not an easy task, managing big organization, but it
Right.
involves also letting a number of people grow. So those are some of the things that happen. Yeah.
I see. And yet till
Yeah.
today, his rules, so to say, actually come from a book, right? Which book is it that it comes from?
This one is not really from the book. It's not. We have number of books. Like Winning is one book that Jack Welch wrote, and together with his wife, he wrote a couple of other books. But basically, I went to the Jack Welch School of Leadership in Crotonville in Boston, and basically these are some of the things that we were taught during that time. And I was
I
in GE
see.
in 2006. Yeah.
I see. So this is your take on like somewhat like a compilation of all of his, the disciplines and of this master of ours, right, in the business world.
Yes, that's correct. And it's basically based on my experience and the things that I get with regards to my profession, which is human resource. Yeah, it's
Perfect,
all
perfect.
about managing people and so forth. Yeah.
All right, Azizan, let's jump right into it. How
Yeah.
how do we start? Like, what is the rules?
Basically, we have gone through a lot of things. I mean, we have. I tend to repeat myself from what we have gone through the last few weeks or last few months. We
Mm-hmm.
are now in the new normal. What is the new normal now? The VUCA is the new normal. Yeah, VUCA is the new normal. And when we have the new normal, there's a lot of stress that we are facing in terms of business continuity, business recovery, and so forth.
Right,
And now it's all about, people need to persevere, to have confidence, and to have the passion and ability to deal with stress and also handle complex problems. It's not the simple problems that we faced previously, now very complex problems, which is all about saving lives also, guys. And also in different types of situations that we face right now. And one of the things that that we have here is about how do we succeed? How do we become successful with regards to the certain issues that we have, the issues, the stresses that we have within our environment today? So how do we succeed? Yeah, and I'm going to talk about, it's not a training as mentioned. This is about sharing. Yeah, about sharing, and basically is how do we need to survive? Yeah, how do we need to survive in the very very volatile and uncertain uh, world right now? So
that's
basically,
right.
I will share some tips and some rules of success that Jack Welch has taught us throughout our careers in General Electric, and also she shared a lot of things in the internet, the YouTube, and so forth. Yeah,
All right, let's go.
right. Okay, basically, number one, it's always about we have so many things that we sometimes regret having done, mistakes that we have gone through, and mistakes that we have done. But, guys, one of the things that we always learn from those mistakes are feedback. And we need to, number one, talk about our mistakes. Talk about our mistakes so that why we teach people not to repeat the mistakes. Yeah, and we teach people again, to make sure that do things right the first time. One of the things that I made a big mistake when I was in HR, I think I've shared this story in 1993, my first time doing payroll, guys. I overpaid a few people, not few hundred ringgit, a few thousand ringgit. Yeah, a few thousand ringgit. I overpaid them. And that was my first time that I have done payroll in my life. And it was very, very stressful. And I even showed my boss a letter of resignation. But my boss says, Azizan, you learn your mistakes and basically don't repeat the same mistakes. Yeah, and I won't accept your resignation because of that. So I had a
Right.
second chance, guys. So talk about your mistakes. Then this will be your war stories. If you are a trainer, one of the things that we introduce ourselves at the beginning of our training section is always talk about our war stories. So these are some of
War
the things that
stories, yeah.
we included. Yeah.
But some people are too scared to go to war. Some people just want to stay back at home, and you can. I mean, a lot of the younger generation, or as well,
Yeah.
they're quite entrepreneurial. They like to go online, do online business. Don't need
Right.
to deal with people. So no war there.
Right. No more there, but you still have comments, you still have feedbacks. That would be also a war. Sometimes it is even more disastrous. It's if it's online.
Do you
It
think
goes
that
around the world very fast.
right? Do you think that people, just because it's online, they don't realize that they're even at war, and then before they
Yeah,
know it, it's a bit too late. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because sometimes people, as I mentioned, one of the things that people always have a fear is to speak in public, to sell
Right.
things in public face to face. That is the number one fear, the number one phobia in the United States, guys, is to speak in public. That's what people have experienced. Yeah,
Right.
and the number two fear in US is death. So people prefer to die before they have to speak in public. So, but yeah,
That
but
is quite
if
funny.
you are talking on the internet, if you are doing online, you are also talking to the public, even though it's not face to face. But the feedback, but might be real time feedback, and sometimes people cannot handle it, and what happens is they shut the session immediately. But some people they
Right.
say, hey, I can handle it, no problem. Yeah.
Right.
So talked about your mistakes. Yeah, talked about mistakes, right?
Okay.
And the
Okay.
second thing that I want to share is okay. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
mention that later on I do
Yeah.
have a video that I'd like to share to you as well as our audience,
Yeah.
because it is
Yeah.
interesting to think that there are so many seafoods out there as well. Jack Welch is one of them, but he has been,
Mm.
the stuff that he's been sharing might be, from a few years ago or stuff like that. It might be has evolved right now, and I want to share a
Yeah.
video to kind of embellish that point. But before we get that,
Good.
maybe you could share a little few more points before we get there.
Right, right. No, no. Basically, Jack Welch was voted the CEO of the century. So the
Ah,
20th century belongs to Jack Welch. Yeah, and now we are in the 21st century, and we see probably now the rise of Gates, the rise of the Facebook, and so forth. Everybody wants to join all those IT-based organizations. Yeah, and previously in the 90s, in the 2000s, if you were in big manufacturing organization or big business organization like General Electric, then it's easier to get around. It's easier to
mhm,
get around. Yeah. During the 2000, after the 2011, guys, after sorry, the 2001, September 11th. Now it's very difficult to get into the US. One of the things that I was
right.
advised by my superior, if you want to go to US, for business, for work, it is always wear a T-shirt that represents your organization. Yeah.
Mm,
So that the people, the security, when they looked at their T-shirt, they know this is the organization that you're working with, and you are here on business. So you don't have to go through all the strip search and so forth. All those
right.
things. Those are some of the things, like example. Sometimes you're lucky,
Okay.
sometimes you're not lucky. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe right now,
Next.
since
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you have still another point. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So now the other one is, we are managing people, guys. Yeah. We are managing people. Our business is based on people, regardless whether you are doing online sales, whether you are doing manufacturing, or you are in banks, or you are in retail. It's all about people. And as bosses, as superiors, as leaders, as supervisors, as team leaders, it's all about energizing your people. Yeah, energizing people so that they can produce their best. Yeah, when they produce their best, it all entails that the entire job of the CEO, entire job of the boss is to combine all the intellects in the organization. You have people from different backgrounds, different people from different organization that join your organization. So what you need to do is a boss is like a conductor of an orchestra. So you make
Right.
beautiful music together. That's very important. And
Right. The synergy.
uh,
Right. The
uh,
synergy.
correct, correct. And making sure that you succeed. And one of the things that Jack Welch taught us in GE is when you succeed, always, always, always celebrate.
Celebrate.
Find
Yeah.
ways to celebrate. Find ways to celebrate. Maybe in small way or in a big way. Celebrate every little victory. Every little victory. It can be just like a lunch or maybe a teh tarik session or some. Those are some of the things that you do. Yeah.
But what if you
Uh,
over celebrate? Is there such thing?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it becomes very bland lah. Becomes very bland if you over. So you need to have different ways to celebrate. Yeah,
Right.
it may not be the same thing. We have managers sometimes what they do is they put a post-it note. They say congratulations, well done, and then every morning they go to the someone's cubicle and they paste it on the person's wall.
Perfect.
When the person sees that from coming from the bottom of the field, the person will be very happy, very excited. The boss notice what they've done. But
Mm,
if you overdo it, you have so many post-it on the walls, it becomes very bland. the
Yeah.
purpose would not be there anymore.
No
So you
feeling
need to
already.
have, yeah, you need to have different ways of celebrating, different ways of celebrating.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Okay. Celebration is one. Okay, Azizan, do you have any
right,
other points? Otherwise, I'd like to share the video.
right. Basically, also as I mentioned 2 weeks ago, before I went on a long break, it's all about going out, expanding your comfort zone. Don't get comfortable. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. Always challenge
Mm,
yourself. Yeah, being comfortable, you are in the danger zone again. Yeah, you are in the danger zone. You need to learn new things. You need to grow. So one of the
right.
things that Jack Welch always tells us is don't get comfortable. Challenge yourself. Right.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then this video that I'm about to show you, it will really
Mhm.
challenge the idea of getting out of your comfort zone. Okay, so give me a
Ah,
quick moment. Let me set that up really quick. I want to share it to our
yeah.
audience over here.
In 1942, Albert Einstein was teaching at Oxford University. And one day, he just gave an exam of physics to his senior class of physics students. And he was walking on the campus with his assistant. And all of a sudden, the assistant looked at Albert Einstein and said, Dr. Einstein, this exam which you just gave to the senior class of physics students, isn't that exactly the same exam you gave to exactly the same class 1 year ago? Yeah, said Albert Einstein, it's exactly the same. But Dr. Einstein, how could you possibly do that? The assistant. Well, said Einstein, the answers have changed. The answers have changed.
All right, we are back.
Interesting.
So, with this in mind, knowing that stuff has evolved along the years, how does Jack Welch's advice still stay present till today? Because as we know it, there's a lot of new challenges out to, every day we have new challenges with COVID, let's say, and maybe next time, who knows what's gonna happen next year. Every year it seems that that year is the worst year ever. You know, every time people will say
Yeah.
this year will be a good year, and then they'll say in the end of the year they'll say this is the worst year. Then the next year will be the worst year, right?
Right.
So
Right.
how do we get around that, and how do we know that this advice that we keep on seeing over and over again over in the internet by
Mhm.
billionaires in the past, is it still relevant
Mm.
to today? Because like as you can see, one of the most recent news is like the Singaporean dollar, overtaking and shooting above, right? That is quite crazy. What is it right now? Almost equivalent to US dollar already, right? And
Oh, yeah.
our Malaysian ringgit is not going any higher than the US dollar as well. So there's a
Right.
lot of challenges over here, and I'd like to hear your take on this, Azizan.
No, basically, change is a sign of progress. Because change is a sign of progress. The only thing that remains the same is the people. The situation have changed, but people have not changed, guys. Everything is the same. In Malaysia, people are still very comfortable. We are still in our comfort zone. We are in our danger zone. So what we need to do is we need to change according to the times. But what Jackwell has mentioned is it's all about, yes, very important that you need to adapt to all the things that is happening around you. But one of the things that is constant is the people within the organization. Yeah, people within the organization. And you have to manage those people as when you were working with them during the pandemic, before the pandemic, and after the pandemic. So it's treating people the same, yeah? Treating people the
Hmm.
same. Technology has changed. Yeah? Technology has changed. And sometimes furthermore, what we need to do now after the pandemic is one of the things that Jack Welch always taught us is always over deliver,
Over
always
deliver.
over deliver. Anticipate what your boss wants to do next. Yeah, and when you over deliver, your boss will feel great about understanding a little bit more about what he is expected to do in future. Yeah, because you are the expert in your area and you're supposed to tell your boss, these are the things that I anticipate to happen in the next few months. Yeah, the next few months. Look at other organizations, look at your competitors. What are they doing differently so that we can overtake them, and we cannot just become complacent. It's all
Mm,
about getting and becoming better and better and better. So it's very, very important. And basically, it's also when you talk to people, when you talk to your clients, when you talk to your employees and so forth, be candid. Be candid. It's all about being candor. What is candor? It's about being open and being frank. Yeah. If it's bad news, tell them the bad news. Yeah. Tell them the bad news. It's all about being honest. Yeah, and it's very important, to improve the person's performance by the end of the day. Yeah, it's like going to the doctor. I gave this example quite a number of times. Going to a doctor, seeing doctor, and asking the doctor, what is wrong with me? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? Yeah, you want the doctor to be honest with you, right? So that's how a manager should react when talking to the employees. You have to be open. It's eyeball to eyeball confrontation, as we can say. Eyeball to
that's right.
eyeball confrontation. And why some things work and some things doesn't work. So you must be candid. You must be candid. You cannot hide things under the table and so forth.
Right.
Especially in the time right now that we have. Right.
That's true. That's true. I think one
Yeah.
of the more important things is also the takeaway is also the that we can always listen to the fundamentals of these masters, right? But we also need to think for ourselves how that
Mm.
applies to the evolution of the times, right? Because the fundamentals most of the times stay relevant throughout the years, but maybe
Right.
the what they did back then is different from what we are the challenge we're facing today, but the fundamentals itself, right? That is the what we can take away,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
that's true. But by being candid, it speeds the decision.
Right.
It speeds the decision. You work faster. It moves the organization positively faster, and it gets people to open about where they fit or they do not fit within the organization. By the end of the day, it's the people that we have within the organization. They are the ones. They are the biggest asset in any organization, right? So be candid. Yeah, we can do. And the next one that probably that I want to talk about is differentiation. We have different businesses, yeah. So you need to differentiate all those businesses, yeah.
Mm.
Differentiate all those businesses. One of the things that Jack Welch always tell organization under the General Electric group is be number one or number two. Be
Or
number
number
one
two.
or number two. Yeah, be number one or number two. If you be number three, I won't see you the next year. Yeah? You will be
Oh,
sold off.
I
So
see.
it's
I
all
see.
about being competitive. It's all about being a champion. That's why if you see, yeah, do you remember in US this they always talked about it. Can anybody remember who was the number two 100-meter silver medalist in the 1984 or 2000 Olympics? Nobody remembers number two.
Right.
Always people remember number one. Yeah,
That's right.
number one. Yeah, so
That's
always
right.
be at least be number one or number two, guys. Always be number one, number two within your organization or the organization itself. So you need to be differentiated. Yeah, differentiated. We can run
Mm.
a company without having an organization that differentiates, but it treats different businesses, and you need to treat different businesses different ways. Some people are not equal, and some people are. You need to treat those people differently. Take
Right.
care of your staff. Yeah, the stars. That's why we have a curve. Yeah, we have the normal distribution curve or the bell
Right.
curve. People who are familiar, who have been working in organization, you guys know what the bell curve is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all about differentiation of people. Yeah,
Right.
take care of your staff, your stars. Sorry, the star employees. Take care of them. Motivate the people in the middle and ask the bottom to leave. Ask the people at the bottom.
I see,
Yeah.
I see. There are so many of these, right? Especially from John Welsh. Sorry, Jack Welsh. So much of his wisdom, and I believe that there are many more, right, Azizan?
There are many, 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 many more.
Many, many
Yeah,
more.
but no,
But
no, it's only
um,
about not only about Jack Welch. We have Branson also have his
right,
own rules of success. We have the Gates rules of success. So it all depends in the organization that you are in. It all depends on the situation that you are in. And it's all about being adaptable to the situation.
Right.
Yeah,
But
those
unfortunately, since that we have, a limited amount of time, today we have covered quite a bit. But before we go, I'd like to throw you a curveball question and ask you, uh,
sure.
out of these pointers that you have shared today, which one do you have any stories of one that has potentially saved your life before?
Basically, the one that is dear to me is all about being candid, being
Candid.
honest, being candid, being honest to yourself, being honest to the people that you lead, being honest to the people that you manage. Yeah, honest in terms of if they are not performing, you tell them straight to the eye. Say, I'm not happy with your performance, and let's do something about it. Let's talk about it. I want you to succeed. If you succeed, the business succeeds. Right?
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing, Azizan. Unfortunately, it is 9 o'clock and we are about to end our stream. But before we go, I'd like to say thank you to our audience for coming on to the Big Chief channel, as well as Azizan for sharing his wisdom. Uh, we are live every weekday from 8:30 to 9 o'clock. And before you go, a quick announcement is that next week onwards, we are looking to migrate to YouTube. Yes, that is right. We are going to be migrating to YouTube. So if, let's say, you guys want to check us out there, we will be sharing our link in our Facebook very soon. So keep a lookout for that. Uh, but other than that, we'll be signing off for now. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening ahead. How, everyone? Bye bye.
How?